Hey everybody, welcome back to Champion Sons and our NCAA football series where we just finished up our first season as the head coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And we had a pretty good year. Ended up with 9-4 with a Cotton Bowl victory over Indiana, top 25 team. So a good win overall and a pretty good season, I think. You know, and so here we come into the offseason having to try to finish off some of the recruiting battles that we've had or that we've been in. And really, that's what you saw kind of doing right there. Our best, most talent, most, I guess, highly rated individual that we are looking at up to this stage right now. We go ahead and put as many points on them as we can. We had 0 out of 10,000, so we got plenty available. We dumped 1,000 on him. That should give us a lead on him. Albert Hagen, he's a 67 overall, so we're going to try to top him just barely. Basically, top Texas as far as a pointage, and hopefully that'll kind of get him to come over to our school. I think he'd be a big help at 67 overall. That's someone that you definitely want to bring on your team. We do have a lot of mid to high 60 players. Along with a couple in the low 70s. So we definitely got a good variation, a good mix of youngsters that are going to be coming in talent-wise. Now, a lot of them are not going to be your 5-star recruits. I did have the rules as far as recruiting goes. We need to be in your top 3, right? If we're in your top 3, no matter what your star is, no matter whether you're 1 or 5, we'll look at just beginning to recruit you. Obviously, the more stars, the better. I mean, that's a given, right? But that's kind of the rule we have, and so that's what we are going with here. Now, a lot of these guys we obviously dropped out of the top 5 on, or top 3, and even some straight out of the top 5. So it's one of those things that as you go with recruiting, it's going to happen here or there. It just is. Nothing you can really do too much about that. Now, looking at Logan White here, we're trailing by 555 points. He is a guard, which I think he's more of just a depth kind of guy. At 64 overall, I think he's got good potential as far as development goes. But to start out, more of just a depth guy. If someone gets hurt, I want to have someone who can at least play the position, fill in behind him. That's kind of what we are looking at for him kind of going forward as we finish off the recruiting. And here we go, advancing on to signing day. Now, this is an important day, not just for us, but for every school, right? Now, we're not going to have a top 5 recruiting class. Like, that's just not going to happen this year. We did make a name for ourselves in a way with a 9-4 season, multiple wins over top 25 teams. And so we definitely put together a pretty decent resume. So going forward at the next season of recruiting, and really the season after that, I think we'll start to have a lot more 5 stars coming our way. 4 and 5 stars coming our way than what we've had so far. But it's still early on in our head coaching tenure. We had the 2 years as a coordinator at Tennessee, won an SEC title and a national title there. Coming over here, and Tommy Johnson commits to TCU. Bastard. We dumped all them damn points on him. Okay, doesn't look like we got too many guys that we were really trying to fix. Our guard, Logan White, committed to Colorado. Really? I mean, come on, dude. Still sign a 3-star prospect. Okay. All right, not sure who that was. I didn't say we signed anybody on that little list, but hey, so be it. Moving on. We missed on those guys. Didn't get them. Chitsky happens, as I like to say. It's just the way it goes. Let's go ahead and get this off-season moving. Now, I do like seeing that up there. I don't know if y'all have noticed so far, but in the upper left corner where the menu screen, it has us being number 25. Top 25. All right. 9 wins, 4 losses on the season. Top 25. Got the recruiting started to fill in. I think we did pretty decent. Signing day, obviously, we would have liked to have had some of those guys we kind of put all those points onto. Just didn't happen that way, so be it. It is what it is, so we have to move on. But I think we had pretty good recruiting going up into signing day, right? Now, we did get a couple of athletes joining us, and we may have some overloaded positions where we might be able to switch someone to a different position. We don't know. We'll have to take a look. Now, Scott Mitchell, he's our 4-star athlete that we brought in. He's got a lot of ability, but if you notice his break tackle, his elusiveness, stiff arm, juke, his ball carrying, all the offensive side skill set generally are pretty lower rated, right? His tackling, his power, he's got pretty good elevations on the defensive side. He's definitely going to be more of a defensive player. I like to mess around just to see what would their ratings be if we put them at certain positions. Cornerback 53. I would have figured, linebacker seems more like his mix. 67 overall middle linebacker for a freshman. That's a pretty good start, and I think that helps us out actually quite a bit on the defensive side, providing us with some extra depth and kind of getting our defense settled for the most part, and allow us to really build a program and to get something going on this new look Big 12 that you're about to see me fix up here in a minute in the offseason. I've already mentioned it a couple times, but you will see me. I will make that change here in this episode officially, adjusting the Big 12, adding the 4 teams, moving Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC. So taking a look at who we got, Ben Duncan is going to be our starting quarterback. Dominic Holt is our backup. We've only got 2. I don't like that. It is what it is. I'm probably going to have to look at changing someone over to be basically like a safety quarterback, a reserve quarterback if we have to, just to kind of see. But we'll keep our eyes on that as the season goes. Now, Brian Poole will be our starting running back this season. He's a 91 overall senior. He had a pretty good year last year, especially filling in the back half of the season when Weber got hurt. Filled in pretty well for us for the last about 5 games or so. Made a pretty decent year for himself. Chad McMillan is going to be our number 1 receiving target. He's a 90 overall. 99 speed, though, so that's going to be big for us to try to take advantage of. And if you look, the rest of our receiving core, I like how almost everybody else is in the 80s, and a lot of these guys are juniors and sophomores, so at least 1 more year of development, if not 2 or 3 even. And, these guys in the 80s will easily be into the 90s as long as we develop them properly going forward. So, taking a look at our guard play, our offensive line is looking kind of decent as we would go forward with it. We got some highly rated guys up there that I think are going to make some good moves for us in the passing game as far as blocking up some blitzers and in the run game too, opening up some holes. I think if we maintain our option style offense, we should be able to handle most defensive lines and blitz packages pretty handily as long as we play it smart. Lance Brown will be our starting left outside linebacker. Mike Johnson coming in at middle linebacker. And so we got a pretty good defensive setup. Our cornerbacks are still pretty damn weak. It is what it is at this point. We're going to have to make do the best we can with what we have. We knew coming into this, those guys are going to be a hard group to bring up. Recruiting going forward throughout the season, I might make some changes with what we do with recruiting as we go forward and look to kind of hammer down on some of the defensive side of the ball. Defensive line seems pretty decent, but the linebacker core, we could use some additional help there along with our defensive backs. We could also use some help there. Now, taking a look, we do need to cut a few players, not that many. We're really not overdrawn by a whole hell of a lot, right? Oh, that young man is a Jim Kennedy. We're going to have to see what we do with him. I don't know. He's going to be an interesting one to see how we kind of work him out. And, he is just a freshman, right? So, hopefully we don't have anybody get injured and he has to come in, but he has time to develop. We don't need him to play this year or even technically next year. Let the kid sit back, develop for about a couple years, and then come in and the final 2 seasons of his college career, let him just hammer it down for us. It's kind of what we're taking a look at. Still needing to get some cuts in. Right tackle, we have got all freshmen coming in at right tackle, so I'm going to keep those guys. They're pretty well young. I'm not sure what we're really looking at, but the more you get down the depth chart line on some of these guys that are older, more tenured dudes, more veteran type of guys, if they're low already, they're not going to get any better, but you don't want to cut them at the same time just because they have been with the program and dedicated themselves to it a little bit. So take a freshman, someone not very highly recruited, pretty well down on the depth chart, and someone that could be passed up easily by a recruit in the next season or two. So we just cut the freshman out off the team and just made that one. Going to finish that one off. So now here we get ready a little bit further into it after we do get the players cut. We are going to end up getting ourselves set up for the recruiting of the next season here in a little bit, get the schedule going. Like I said, that's where we make the changes to the conference. The only ones that I do adjust right now is the Big 12 and the SEC. I'll probably end up making the other adjustments later on as we go, but we'll have to wait and see how that works out. Okay, just the way it is. But let's get past this and roll in recruit. Let's reset your coach skill trees. Okay, I don't really want to reset my coach's skill trees. I like how they are. I've got all my guys. Let me let it be for right now. So custom conferences. This is what I was waiting on, what a lot of y'all may have been waiting on. We are going to get this kind of fixed up. Texas and OU are going to the SEC. Working on how to add these guys. Man, it's been so long since I've done anything like that I I think the long way about it for the most part. So Texas and then Oklahoma. I don't know how they did or how they're going to do them. Obviously, you would assume Texas and Oklahoma would be in the SEC West. Just an assumption, logical assumption at that, but you don't really know how that's going to all work out there. So we get them added to the SEC. I just let them be as long as they're on the same side, then we're good, and they were. And so now we're going to be adding in the teams to the Big 12 Conference. BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and Central Florida. We get those schools added in to us. And I make some kind of changes, make some shifts around to make the conference more, I guess, cohesive. We do split up into the North and the South. Once again, Big 12 North, Big 12 South. We try to keep, and that's kind of the way with the new teams are at it. Most that are southern based, we try to keep them in the Big 12 South. With the northern based teams, obviously, keep them in the Big 12 North. So that's kind of the route we were taking with it. I think it works out pretty decent. We should have some good seasons coming up. I do think that this does make our seasons a little bit easier without Texas and Houston in it. But I will say this. I do, as we come up to the conference, custom schedules also. Not here right now on this screen, but I think it's on the next, once we get through this one. On the next one, I do adjust the custom schedules, and I make sure to keep the Texas and the Texas Tech game home and home every year. It will be in there. It's something that I know. I mentioned it once again. I mentioned it before, I know, but Texas and Tech have been in discussions ever since the news about Texas leaving. Have been in discussions about keeping that series alive and going. So that's kind of one of the things that we are looking at um, is keeping that alive. And so that's what we did with our scheduling. And I don't really keep too many powder puff teams on the schedule anymore. Um, when you have teams like Cincinnati being at number 6, TCU being at number 5, um, it, yeah, okay, rankings wise, it helps you out, but it really doesn't help us out as far as figuring out our team and getting better, more prepared for the season and our conference schedule. So I try not to just do that. I do try to keep um, the schedules pretty difficult for us, but pretty realistic also at the same time. Big 12 conference, we got 12 teams, so we are adding in our conference, the Big 12 conference championship game again. There it is, Big 12 championship, Arlington, AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World, aka the Death Star. Started calling it the Death Star when you watched it being built. That's what it looked like, the Death Star from Star Wars. That was in construction. What is that? Star Wars Episode 6. The in construction Death Star. That's what Jerry's World looked like when it was being built. So that's why it is. So that got completed. Now we are going to set up the recruiting board and our custom schedule so you can see who we are going to be facing this season and what we do have ahead of us. All right. Now I didn't go through and create any recruits. I am going to start doing that as we draw closer to next season. Figure out how to do that. So be ready to submit any recruits that you would like to have included. I'll try to see if they come to my school. If not, you know what? I'll track where they do go, and we'll kind of keep little updates on their performance and their story as well for y'all. So keep a watch out for when we do ask for that. So here it comes, our recruiting trail. Like I said, the top 3 is what we're looking at. These are all people that have us ranked as their favorite, the number 1 rated school for them. You see, we only had the 1 4-star, primarily 3 and 2 stars, and then some of the 1 stars I don't really work on them too much. I kind of move beyond them a little bit to go towards the guys that have this in second. Once again, we find another 4-star and primarily 3 and 2 stars coming in here, but these are the guys that have us ranked second. And then you'll see us go to third. And have a pretty decent mix of being in third place. And I think when you're in third as someone's favorite as far as recruiting goes, I think it works out for you. You can actually make some moves, right? You got to perform well, you know what I mean? And you got to make sure you know who you're selecting when you're recruiting and all that. But perform well, add the right amount of points to them when you should, and you can actually make some moves with young kids and get them and move up their recruiting board as well. So, now we're just taking a look straight up within our state. There are a lot of 1 stars, and man, 1 stars can obviously grow and develop. But we are trying to build a national powerhouse program. Finding one of those rare gems as a 1 star, going into a 2-star range, it's going to be pretty rare. We do keep our focus on those that are kind of more above us, right? I did take a brief look at, just straight up quarterbacks. Now, Brothers that we do, William Brothers, he is just a pocket passer, so he's not my typical quarterback I go after, but he's someone that I want to take at least a look at. The athletes that are in the recruiting board do not want us at this stage. So that is what that is at that. I'm going to take it all in stride, you know what I mean? So here we're looking at wide receivers. Our wide receiver core is pretty decent, but we have to keep that going, keep it developing. And so it's really kind of breaking down who all does have interest in us and where is that interest at. The downside is, like I said, when you make certain recruiting rules, it prevents you from recruiting guys you could probably get. Some of these 3-star dudes we could probably step up and get. by the end of the season, but just not meant to be for us, right? And we only have one more spot to fill on the recruiting board, so let's be real about it. Get someone. We just got a spot filler on that one. I'm not gonna lie, that was all we got. So, all right, we added in our 35 recruits. Time to see as we go through the season. We will be doing the additional recruiting. We'll see who all we want to have offers to, and I think this season is looking to be pretty good for us as we kind of go forward. I'm doing a quick little redshirting of guys. That's always kind of a smarter thing to do. So we will scroll down each position just to, mark those guys off. Now, I didn't do the gym. I did not redshirt our gym that you saw at quarterback earlier. And really, it's mainly because I'm going to want him there if we do have to have him come in as a backup. If our top two guys get hurt, I need him preferably ready to step in. And so that's why I send our other freshman as a red shirt. And with the proper development, who knows what he can do, right? He's just an incoming freshman. We'll have to see what he does as a red shirt this year. And going through the rest of the guys, there's not a whole lot of players that were looking to redshirt. A lot of positions have some depth, but I don't want to take away too much of it. And now cornerback here, that there's such a variation of drop off in talent in that area. We're going to have to do something about that. I'm going to have to look around and see about some of these other guys at different positions, getting them moved over there. I don't know. We'll figure something else out. But it might be a rough year as far as our passing defense goes, right? It just might be. So, now let's take a look at our custom conferences. Now, we do have a Tennessee game listed as week 3, 1 open, 2 against FCS Southwest. And then we'd bring in the Texas game later on in the year. That's not really how I want it to be done. So I'm going to have to make some changes to this schedule. And, it's just kind of weird how many off weeks that we do have in college. At this point, it's looking like 2 or 3 during the season. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. But so let's start breaking down and making some of these changes, right? Tennessee, man, first of all, I wouldn't play them in Tennessee again. They'd have to come play in Lubbock. But I think, we went there, we did that. It was a nice little go-back game in which they kicked the crap out of us. And so I give them that. I'm not going to look to start a rivalry with them right now. I need to keep focus on our team and the Big 12 and getting us set up to make a run in the next year or two. Right? So, man, I hate we do get Texas in there at week 3. I had Alabama on it, really more as a space filler and just thinking, maybe, but I do decide against that one. And that's probably the smarter decision by me. Let's just be real about that. So I looked to actually fill in the first couple. I'm going to change week 2, but I need to add a team for week 1. Right? I don't like starting out with a bye week. It just is not groovy with me to do. And once again, I hate having an FCS team. Yeah, it's an easy win, and honestly, going into play Texas after, that would be a good game, a good setup game for, hey, you just kick the crap out of these guys, go play Texas now. So we'll see. Alabama, I put them back on the schedule. I'm no fool, people. Okay, I'm no fool. I know the team we have versus the team that they are, and I don't think you'd ever see a matchup of Texas Tech versus Alabama to start a season. Now, Texas Tech versus Colorado, that's a different story. That's an old Big 12 matchup. And that's who we do squeeze in there at week 1, Colorado versus Texas Tech. I was thinking a home and home, um, 2-game series, but I decided I think what we might do is just do one of the kickoff type games like that. That is there in Dallas. Do a kickoff game like that, and I don't know. I think might start out doing a Big 12, Pac-12 kind of matchup. Week 1 every season is going to be us versus a Pac-12 team, and it's going to range from obviously Colorado. You're looking at Arizona, Washington, Oregon, Arizona State, USC. A lot of different schools I think that we could do. But the first one is going to be Colorado. And like I said, we are making it a neutral site game. It's just trying to find the dang stadium that we want to use. Just couldn't find it the first time around, so started scrolling all the way down, ended up here in the W. Now we got some of these more, what are they called, neutral site stadiums, where you have NFL stadiums and stuff like that being used. So I know I want to make this one in Dallas. I'm not going to do the OU Texas Cotton Bowl Stadium just because that's for Texas and OU. Everybody else, we just need to stay out of it. So the Advocare Classic, that is what we decide. I believe that's the one we decide to select here. Instead of the kickoff at NRG Stadium, I wanted to make sure it was in Dallas. So we do have the Advocare Classic at G. Jerry's World. And that's a pretty good setting. It's about a good 5 hours from Lubbock, 4 to 5 hours. So, hey, not like they don't, we got to travel, they got to travel. Great game. Good thing, good way to start off the season. And we'll just change. It'll be neutral site every year, week 1. But that's just kind of the way it's going to be for now. I'm taking a look at the rest of the schedule. Like I said, Texas is top 25. Kansas State's top 25. TCU's at number 4. And with who we have right now, our strength of schedule is a B-. I can tell you when Alabama was on it, it was just a B. So you're not seeing a whole lot of variation as far as the strength of the schedule. That's with the FCS East or Southeast team, which we are about to promptly remove. And we're going to put a school that I used to actually attend, North Texas. Attended there for a little while. They will be our week 2 game. We'll play them in Lubbock before we head to Austin. And I might make that a constant rivalry. Try to get something going between the Red Raiders and the Mean Green. Kind of see how that works out going forward. And so that is going to be the end of our custom schedule. That is what we look forward to this season. And we will get the season kicked off in the next episode against Colorado. So that does remind you to hit the subscribe button if you have not hit it already. And if you like college football, if you're ready for the next season, give us a thumbs up, as we really do appreciate it. And we appreciate everything that y'all do for us here at Champ & Sons Gaming. And so with that, I will see y'all in the next episode as we get this season underway in our battle to build a dynasty here in Lubbock as the head coach. So as always, everybody stay safe, and well, you guys know how it goes by now. Later, y'all.